What's up, Armchair Phantom? This is DaRealLastJedi. We're here to you live with an after show for Obi Wan Kenobi parts 4 and 5 from the Disney Plus series that takes place between The Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. I'm here with my buddy Obi Wan Kenobi. We'll be bringing Darth Pane in here in a minute. Before we get started, if you like our channel, hit the subscribe button. Any videos you enjoy, hit the like button. Leave comments in the comment section below. And if you're actually here live with us for this video, you can win an Amazon gift card worth $20 just for participating in the chat. And along with that, hit the notification bell to be notified when we have other videos available. And like I said, leave comments in the comment section below. Let us know what kind of content you enjoy, and we'll try to cover a more variety of types of shows or content that you enjoy. And with all that said, you can reach us at Facebook at the Facebook group Armchair Fandom, and at Twitter at Armchair_Fandom. And with all that said, here we go.
What's up, loser?
What's up, Darth Pane?
Greetings from you're looking live from the hallowed halls of Korriban, home of the galactically famous Sith, and their leader, Darth Pane, who is modeling one-of-a-kind Sith shades, will soon be made available in the Armchair Fandom merchandising auction group. Studying up on the Book of Sith as per usual. I see you've got one of your many figures you like to play with there, Lucas. I have somebody who would like to say hello to them as well. You.
Who Dark Helmet?
You, Obi-Wan, was once you were the master. Now I am the master. I will burn you alive again.
Again. Here we go, man. Let's test your knowledge before we get into this. And I got a point to make after this.
Oh, goody.
This box here, this is a Star Wars trivia box. Lots of questions in here.
I'm sure you know every one of them.
How was the probe droid destroyed on Hoth? A Wampa attacked it. It destroyed itself. Chewbacca fired on it, or Han Solo fired on it?
If I recall correctly, it may have been, I think it was Han Solo.
No, it self-destructed.
Self-destructed? Okay.
Yeah, it located Luke, and then Luke fired at it, but it self-destructed. And then
but not before it gave away the location.
Exactly. Which company produced the Viper probe droid? Industrial Automation, Tag Company, Air Kid, or Malkite Poisoners?
Don't think I know that one. Maybe you better get Ken Knapsack for that one.
Yeah, I would have never known that one. We'll have to call Pablo Hidalgo on that one.
Yes, this film story group's got that covered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure they do. My point is, on how was the probe droid destroyed on Hoth? The probe droid. The same things that showed up in episode 4 that Obi-Wan calls a seeker droid.
Well, you got to remember, the writer of the series we're discussing also was not aware that the character of Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker were one and the same. That is a travesty that I cannot even justify on any level.
All right. Anyways, we're going to talk about Obi Wan Kenobi episode parts 4 and 5. Uh, Part 4 was a total mess.
Last time.
Episode 4, I wish he would walk in and do that to Kathleen Kennedy. That'd be great if she'd come up against Vader. You failed me for the last time. No.
I find your lack of good content disturbing.
Apology accepted,
Apology
Kathleen
accepted.
Kennedy.
You'll choke on your ambitions.
I don't apologize for nothing. The Force is female. The Force is female.
Save me, Reva. Save me, Reva.
Anyways, this episode, man, was a total mess. Episode 4. We'll talk about that one first. There was some cool looking stuff in it. There was more Vader in it. Some of the Vader content was okay. The visuals in some parts were okay. There's a scene in it when basically you got the Fortress Inquisitorius, basically what they call it. They tell you earlier on in the episode that it's basically impenetrable, but evidently one ship can get in there and drop off a Jedi, and he can swim underwater, which was a callback to the Phantom Menace when they're swimming under water to the, I forget what it's called. It's where the Gungans live.
Yeah, always a bigger fish per Qui-Gon.
Yeah, and so it's a callback to that. Obi-Wan swims underwater and gets into this base, Inquisitor base, which is half underwater, which ends up leading to a stupid moment that I had major problems with. But he gets into the base and he's sneaking around. There's some callbacks to New Hope when he's sneaking around. They're trying to rescue Leia, and he's sneaking around the Death Star, trying to confront Darth Vader is what he's basically trying to do. And you got anything to add to this?
Well,
leading up to this part.
Well, again, and I know what you're saying, and it was nice that they have the Imperial agent lady who basically is who's also on Game of Thrones with Pedro Pascal, helping him out there. But the way they were able just to get in there, just the way she got in, she just blushed her way, buoyed her way in there, and it just seems like Imperial security was not only bad, it was laughable back then. So we shouldn't be surprised that Obi-Wan was able to take a dip, swim underwater, get in there through the nefarious means and show up.
Well, not to mention when she snuck through security, she chastised the guy at the main security checkpoint for calling her ma'am instead of sir.
Got to throw that in.
yeah, that was a great moment.
No respect.
No respect. It's sir to you, sir. No, it's
don't call
ma'am.
me sir. Well, Peppermint Patty didn't like anybody calling her sir.
It's ma'am, sir. No, it's sir, ma'am. Whatever, sir. Yeah, whatever, ma'am. Okay, whatever.
Peppermint Patty didn't like being called sir.
Pat. Hey, is that a banana in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? It's a banana in my pocket. She gets through the checkpoint. Man. She gets through the checkpoint, and she's trying to guide Obi-Wan. She gets to a computer console, a security console, and she's basically trying to warn Obi-Wan of where all the droids are at, where all the troopers are at, and he's sneaking around because in the previous episode, Reva kidnapped Leia, and she's got Leia trying to interrogate her, which that whole scene made no sense whatsoever.
It was basically cringe.
It was very cringe. One reason it was cringe and horrible storytelling. And the problem with this show and the storytelling is that the stuff happening in the middle don't seem to matter to these people that's writing it. They got an end point that, and I couldn't do any better. I'm not a professional writer, but I've paid attention enough over the years to know that one of things that you don't do in writing is you don't start with point A and have point B and just force your characters to get to point B without it being part of the natural flow of the story. They're just throwing stuff in the middle of this story because it's obvious they have an end point that they want to get certain characters to, so they're not paying any attention to the details of how they're getting to that end point. And
No.
the details of how they're getting to that end point is not interesting. You just brought that up. You got Leia being interrogated by Reva. You got this new character, Tala, who's a spy, who's at the console guiding Obi Wan Kenobi based on the security system that they have through this facility trying to locate Leia. And Obi Wan's in another part as he has infiltrated this base by swimming underwater. So that brings us to the interrogation scene of Leia and the Inquisitor Reva trying to interrogate her. Well, the problem I had with that whole scene, ignore the phone going off, is
No
Reva
collectors.
is, Reva is Reva is an Inquisitor whose main purpose is to identify. Her main purpose is to identify Force-sensitive characters, right?
Yep.
That's the Inquisitor's purpose. Hunt down Jedi, identify Force-sensitive people, and turn them over to the Empire. Okay,
Exactly.
She's already established earlier in the show that she was able to read people's minds. So Lucasfilm and the writers have a conundrum here, and they're not going to admit either one of these because they want Reva to be the strong woman character because we already know the Force is female. Kathleen and all her minions posed in that picture, all of them wearing T-shirts that says the Force is female, which I don't have any problem. I have a problem with that. I don't have any problem with female Force users. Ahsoka Tano is a great character. She's a female. I have no problem with that. The problem I have with is you try to build these characters up strong, and the decisions you make with them make no sense. So she's interrogating Leia. She tries to read her mind and can't, right? Which is supposed to tell us as an audience that Leia is strong in the Force. So you either got to admit one or two things. Reva is either too weak to read Leia's mind, or she's too dumb to acknowledge that Leia is Force sensitive. You can't have it both ways.
They can. They try to. And
yeah, they can have it both ways.
well,
as long as Leia looks strong and Reva looks strong.
The thing of it is, and I think the actress that plays Leia, that little girl, is really good. And I think they're playing into this. And I've told you I was going to bring this up last time. This book here by Claudia Gray, Leia, Princess of Alderaan. This takes place years after what we're seeing take place right now. Now, so I guess that spoiler alert that Leia somehow survives and makes it back to Alderaan, which we all knew happened anyway. But I think it's a good, what they're doing with her is tying and showing her character to be strong. She's able to hold off the third sister, who's not exactly all that as we're being led to believe. And she's on a different level of Force sensitive than third sister is. And I think you saw that by the interrogation scene you just outlined.
Yeah, that entire interrogation scene was just cringe-worthy, man. I mean, we're supposed to believe that this character, in the matter of, I'm not 100% sure if she's going to turn to the light side or not at the end, but to believe that she's supposed to have this major turn of events between, in 2 episodes, basically, going from being willing to torture a 10-year-old kid to get information out of them to all of a sudden turning to the light. There's no development for the character there. None whatsoever.
No,
This character, there's nothing about this character. Very little about this character. We're led to believe. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. We're still on episode 4. Like I've already said, the things I liked about episode 4. It had some good visuals. The interior architecture of the fortress
Yeah, I
of
like
the
that.
Inquisitors. Looked good. It looked like old Empire stuff from the original trilogy.
It did.
The stormtrooper stuff was cool. The lightsaber usage. I didn't know this, but even the scene with Obi-Wan when he's got the two stormtroopers guarding Leia in her torture device, that shot was stolen from a video game that had the character Star Killer in it. It was basically just a copy of the video game.
Force
That whole
Unleashed, yeah.
scene, it was a copy of the scene that happens in that game. So they lose credit for that wasn't even original, even though it looked good. And my big complaint about Obi-Wan, the whole scenario of him sneaking around in this facility, was when the stormtroopers locate him. You got half of this base built underwater. It's supposed to be impenetrable, yet one blaster shot cracks a window under the water and the whole ocean begins to start coming in. And Obi-Wan has to hold it back with the Force. And you got your normies out here. It's going to be like, oh, it was awesome. Obi-Wan held the Force back. All this water by using the Force. Yeah, that was cool if it hadn't been ruined by the fact that you got this base, this Empire base that's underwater, that the window gets took out by one blaster shot. Why do you got stormtroopers down there running around willy-nilly with blasters if one shot to that glass can take out the whole fortress and flood it?
And we both know that stormtroopers couldn't hit the broadside of a barn throughout the entire Star Wars saga. So what are the odds that a fluke shot manages to hit just the right spot to cause a situation just like that?
Well, not only that, they can't hit. They just reinforced the idea that the stormtroopers can't shoot straight, because there's one scene where Obi-Wan is literally in this hallway. It's about 4 feet wide. And there's a probe droid behind him and like 4 stormtroopers at the other end. You would think a probe droid would have some kind of automatic targeting on it, but it's shooting down the hallway, missing him. The stormtroopers are at the other end shooting. And it's not like he's deflecting these blaster shots. He's only deflecting some of them, but every single one of them that he don't deflect misses him. It's like they took the whole joke that stormtroopers can't shoot straight and took it to a whole new level. Not only can they not shoot straight, they couldn't hit like you said the broad side of a barn if they was standing 2 feet away from it.
Well, you seem to have an issue with that, and I agree with that issue. You have about as much issue with that as I do with a certain other situation that happens in the next episode that about made me lose my stuff when a certain thing happened. You know what I'm referring to.
What, in the next episode?
Yeah, but I absolutely went ballistic with a lack of attention to detail.
So I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but let's wrap episode 4 up here in the next few minutes. I'm gonna. You can go ahead and tell us some other things you may have liked or enjoyed. Ashley, I'm gonna look for something else here just while you're talking.
Okay. Well, now that the real star is in charge, that episode again, it was. The series itself has been fine in a lot of respects. And one of the things I liked about this episode the best is the fact that when they were down there in this Fortress Inquisitor, I liked how they had the tombs of the previous Jedi down there. Now, that was something I don't recall being mentioned in any novels or any other comics or anything else. And if there has been, someone's correct me, that's fine. But I don't recall ever seeing any kind of tombs of Jedi and all stuff like that. I was aware that the Emperor, Darth Sidious, another cool Sith, would take the Jedi lightsabers once they were killed and kept them all. But I was not aware of a tomb facility like that. And that, to me, stood out as one of the best things about this episode. Is whatever the idea, whoever came up with that idea, that's good stuff. And again, I like I was talking about earlier, I think one of the bright spots of this show has been the Leia character. The little girl that plays her is really good. And I tell you, they don't always, you always like to hear the adage that people cast very well. Well, they cast this role very well. This little girl knows her stuff, and you could just see a young Carrie Fisher in her. And the fact that, she's strong in the Force, she's able to take down this, third string Inquisitor. And what does that say about somebody's Force ability when a 10-year-old, who obviously is a special 10-year-old, basically is impervious to anything that this third sister, Inquisitor can do. The only thing she was able to get over on Leia was the fact that she put some kind of, tracker droid on her on her little droid friend that she hung around with.
Yeah, which made no sense because her whole objective is to bring Obi Wan to Darth Vader. Now,
As we find out later, it's not really the true objective.
Well, yeah, but you're supposed to be bringing Obi Wan to Darth Vader. You have him at the base, and you let him go, and then Darth Vader comes in and wants to know why you let him go. It's like, well, that's why I let him go because I put a tracking device on him. Why'd you have to do that if you already had him?
Well, heck, and this isn't exactly cutting edge material here. If you recall, in the New Hope, didn't Grand Moff Tarkin put a tracking device on the Millennium Falcon whenever they escaped the Death Star? I'm sure Grand Moff Tarkin learned that from Reva.
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee it. Yeah.
Reva taught Tarkin. Don't think so.
All right, here's the image, man. I'm gonna bring those. I don't know if it'll show it here. Do you remember this?
I can see part of it. Looks like somebody wearing some hats.
I'm going to move both of us from. Well, let me redo this. Let me add it as an overlay. See if that helps. Now can you see it?
I can. I do not remember this.
That's from the Little Rascals movie.
Okay, I didn't see it. That explains it.
But I used to watch the Little Rascals when I was a little kid.
I watched those as a kid. Yes, little ones.
The original ones, the old ones.
Yeah, that's what I watched. Yes.
This was from the movie they made about the Little Rascals within the last probably 20 years or so, and this was stolen from. This was a callback to the original show, an episode where the Little Rascals made themselves look like grown men by using these long trench coats and riding on each other's shoulders.
Yeah, I remember that.
To make them look tall. Well, that's exactly what my mind went to when Obi Wan Kenobi actually gets Leia and he's helping her escape.
Yes,
and he's helping her escape. And they're walking with the trench coat wrapped around both of them.
Yes.
I'm like, this is so cheesy. It's not even funny, man. That you can't escape in a cooler way than this. She's literally like walking next to him, and he's got his trench coat wrapped around her. That makes him look like he's 8 foot wide.
Well, he looks like a dock worker. How's he managing to roll through security and get into a ship? Hey, man, this guy looks clean. No, he doesn't. Does it look like anybody else on this daggone platform? No.
And then it ends up. The episode ends with this impenetrable base having these two snow speeders from Empire Strikes Back fly in with no resistance whatsoever and just start destroying everything in the docking bay.
Yeah, I was
and Reva's so strong in the Force that as they're getting away, she's able to pick up an object with the Force and throw it and knock one of them out of the sky. Why wasn't she doing that while they were just sitting there hovering in the docking bay, taking everything out.
Well, I was half expecting to see Luke's co-pilot Dak from Empire Strikes Back, who bought it during the Battle of Hoth, come rolling in there and try to rescue them, bring them out. That's not who it was, but same type of aircraft.
Yeah. But anyways, that episode concluded. Obi-Wan rescued Leia with the help of Tala. Darth Vader, at the end of this episode, isn't happy with Reva. He has a confrontation with her, saying that she failed him. You may have covered this. And he says, you failed me for the last time. She's like, no, no, no. I actually put a tracking device on it. So they get away. So they got a tracking device. So they're headed back to Jabim. Is that the name of this place? Where this underground path is that's sneaking Jedi out under the nose of the Empire. They're headed back to Jabim. They got a tracking device on them. It's revealed at the end of the episode that the tracking device is Leia's little droid friend named Lola, because it comes up with a red glow on its eye. So that's where we're left at the end of episode 4. I didn't like episode 4 at all. I thought it was the worst episode of the Obi Wan Kenobi series, and it's just these people don't understand Star Wars, man. Before the prequels came out, when you talked about Star Wars, there was a mystery and a magic to Star Wars. Like the Jedi, you didn't know much about the Jedi at the end of the original trilogy. All you knew about the Jedi is some of the stuff that Yoda and Obi-Wan referred to Luke, passed on to Luke, and some of that stuff, but it was still mysterious and magical. It's like these writers have no respect whatsoever for the material, for the franchise itself.
What the thing that is disappointing on that is that the Lucasfilm story group, Pablo Hidalgo, who's the big poobah of the story group, they okay this stuff. I mean, if you want to mail it in, why don't you just retire and mail it in? Get some people in there. I thought Filoni was supposed to be the guy that was the caretaker of the chess, so to speak. But boy, when you get hack writers in there that, like, I'm not a writer either, but I think I would, when I'm interviewing somebody, it's like, do you know that Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker? Who? What do you mean, who? It's Anakin flipping Skywalker. I just went right through me when I heard that.
Yeah, Darth Vader may be the most famous villain in movie history. You should know a little bit about his past. But anyways,
I find that disturbing.
Anyways, with all that said, we'll move on to episode 5. I hate to admit this. But episode 5 kind of with all that negativity I just said, episode 5 did redeem this series for me just a little bit.
Well,
like I told you a couple weeks ago, this is when you gotta separate Star Wars TV from the Star Wars movies. The TV shows are not going to be as good as the movies. Most of the Star Wars movies I've liked, but a TV show's never going to live up to a mass produced with all kinds of money behind a 2.5 hour movie where you have these huge budgets to put behind it. You got less money to actually produce more time of storytelling on these TV shows, and I just wish they respected the lore and the continuity better, and I could overlook some of the look of it and stuff like that. But episode 5 kind of redeemed the show for me. Remember
wait till episode 6.
Yeah, well, we got to wait till the end because that's probably going to ruin it again. It's like plunging a toilet it goes down and you plunge it and bring it back up. It goes down, you plunge it and bring it back up. That's what they keep doing to us. And then episode 6, they're just going to hit the flush button, and every bit of it's just going to disappear. So yeah, I probably won't care much about it after episode 6. But episode 5 redeemed a little bit as far as TV shows go. But that ain't saying much, man. This was probably under a 5 out of 10 for me so far, the entire series. This, I mean, it redeems it a little bit, but I'm still not giving the series as a whole over like a 6 out of 10. But it did bump it up a little bit for me.
I'll agree with that. I mean, it did bump it up, and clearly, I think besides the duel with Anakin and Obi-Wan in the episode 2, this was the best episode. There were only, again, there was a part on there that I absolutely, I mean, I understand it's a Star Wars. I understand it's sci-fi, but there needs to be some believability to it. And I'm not going to sit here and check mark everything on the lore and say you didn't do this right. And I'm glad they did correct the situation with the Grand Inquisitor that you and I went on about earlier. But there was one part in there I absolutely like. If they don't fix this in part 6, I'm going to be like, is this like Game of Thrones when everybody was sitting there doing the episodes and they had Starbucks coffee cups with Emilia Clarke while they were filming some of these war councils? How does Starbucks find its way into Game of Thrones? I'm looking for that to start showing up in this show.
Yeah. This the Grand Inquisitor thing from earlier on, I figured they would correct that. It had to be corrected at some point because he's alive in Star Wars Rebels,
Right.
which takes place after this.
Yep.
I was just hoping that they corrected it in this series. I didn't want it to be a loose thread that was hanging out there. Hey, losers, if you want to see how he survived, go buy this comic book. I was going to be mad if they had done that. But this episode 5 starts out with a flashback with Anakin and Obi-Wan, which you can figure out it actually takes place before Attack of the Clones, just based on the length of Obi-Wan's hair. In Attack of the Clones, it was long, but in Revenge of the Sith, it was shorter.
Yeah.
So this had to be taking place before Attack of the Clones. And it's a training session that he's having with Anakin. I liked this scene. This scene plays out through the rest of the episode. It keeps coming up as a flashback for Vader and Obi-Wan. The only thing I didn't like about it, I thought they could have de-aged Hayden Christensen a little more.
I agree.
It did take me out for just a couple seconds. It is something that you notice that he's older than what he should have been in this scene. But that's a nitpick for me. I still thought it worked good.
They were tailing that toward the newbies.
Yeah. There was a part of me that appreciated that they kept him looking like he does. And then there was another part of me that wishes they would have went ahead and de-aged him. But then you have that flashback turns into Darth Vader looking out the window of the Star Destroyer that he's traveling through hyperspace on. And Reva comes in before him, and he tells her to kneel before him, and he pins her as the Grand Inquisitor, which I rolled my eyes on when that happened. What was your take?
I saw that, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna hold back judgment on this because again, I was still, because you and I both, you just outlined what the real Grand Inquisitor was still alive in Rebels. I say there's something going on with the third sister, and I thought that more than likely if this position was probably temporary at best. And secondly, my biggest concern was where was the fifth brother? If anybody should have been given the spot, it should have been him, but he was nowhere to be seen.
Where was he at in this episode?
He appeared at the very end with the Grand Inquisitor and stuff, and I'm just like, what was he out doing? Ordering pizza? I mean, I don't know what they had the guy doing. I mean, he'd been pretty relevant and visible during the preceding 4 episodes, and most of the time, I don't know why he wasn't and during what I would consider a pivotal part of the show.
Yeah. So, anyways, Obi-Wan and Leia and Tala and all the others end up landing back at this place called Jabim, which is a base for this underground railroad that sneaks Jedi and Force-sensitive people into places, into hiding. And they land back there, and they get off. Well, of course, they find out they're being tracked, and the droid that she hacked in episode 4 that Reva hacked, Leia's droid, goes and cuts the wiring to the bay door above them so that they can't get away. So Leia, like Super Leia, has all the answers for everything. Just says, "Get me a ladder," and bosses all the grown men around, and they go get her a ladder, and she climbs up there to start fixing it. That's fine that she's up there fixing it. That's only basically all she does this episode is she's up in this cubby hole trying to fix the wiring to this bay door. Meanwhile, Reva and the stormtroopers show up, and both sides are ready to do battle.
Yeah, and of course we to allow Leia to be able to get the doors open, they had to stall for time, as we know. And the stormtroopers, as they did, you recall, reminded me of the Mandalorian to a degree, brought in the big guns and start shooting to try to bust down the door. And of course, Obi-Wan says, "Okay, look, I'm going to try to buy you some time. We'll go out here and stall, negotiate, or whatever." And of course, the third sister, Reva, says, "Hey, you're not going to be able to save him any time by stalling this." Okay, well, you realize, and then of course she starts revealing. He says, "I know why you're here. You're hunting Vader." So Obi-Wan had figured out who she was, and then of course she busts out the big force power, taking the lightsaber and cutting through the door that apparently that this huge gun that they brought off the Star Destroyer couldn't knock down with about 30 shots. Then all of a sudden, here we go, the Inquisitor, Reva's lightsaber. There we go, just like knife through butter. Let's talk about it.
So one of the big problems I had with this episode, which are, like I said, this episode redeemed a lot for me for the show just because of some stuff we'll get to here in a little bit. There was still a lot of stuff in it, though, that made no sense. It's like they released a bunch of 15-year-olds into the writer's room and just let them start blasting out ideas. If all Reva's been doing this whole time is hunting Vader, why hasn't she taken an opportunity to kill him before this episode? I mean, she's had moments with him alone.
Well,
I mean, it's not like the way she tries to do it in this episode with some super sneaky stealth smart way to try to do it. Why didn't she try to do it a dumb way at any other point in the story?
Well, a good point. And the thing that comes to my mind is, well, why not catch him while he's in the back of the tank? Goodness knows Boba Fett spent enough time in the back of the tank during the book of Boba Fett. And as somebody that's not nearly as skilled in the Force as Vader is, she should have been looking for any opportunity, moment of weakness that she could have took him out, because she's clearly no match for him, no matter what the writers try to put in that daggone show.
Well, at least the writers were smart enough. That's one thing I will give them credit for. They probably knew that if they had Reva give Darth Vader any kind of a decent match, that the fans would have just absolutely revolted.
They'd have checked out.
Yeah, because there's no way that could have happened. I know it's fiction and everything, but it's like Robert Meyer Burnett always says, when you're writing fiction, you're always asking the audience. You always get one big ask of the audience. For example, like if you're watching a zombie movie, the one big ask in any zombie movie is that the dead can come back to life and start eating people. That's not believable, but you have an amount of a suspension of disbelief when you're reading or watching any kind of fiction. So you always get one big ask of your audience, But that ask, once they buy into it, your laws and rules still have to fit within the context of the rules you've established. So we know this is fiction, and based on other Star Wars content, this character would have been no match for Vader. And if they had made her give him a good fight, I think it wouldn't have just been a divided fan base. I think most people would have had a serious problem with that. So thankfully, when Vader shows up on this base and everything else has transpired, and Obi Wan, all them get away, and it's Reva's left, and she comes up behind him and tries to sneak a strike in on him to take him out. Luckily, the writers knew that even if she scratched him, the fans would have revolted. And lucky enough, they were smart enough to write it where she didn't even get one scratch in on him. He didn't even fight her with lightsaber half the time. He's just waving her off with the Force.
Well, let's remember these same writers, and this is where I'm going to vent. These same writers had Darth Vader bring down a spaceship. What a moment. Nobody who's watched this stuff before was even remotely surprised. Now, here comes the surprise. There's a ship that mysteriously either hatches from the mothership or is attached to it some way that mysteriously flies off while Vader brings down the ship, and voila, they're gone, bait and switch.
Yeah.
Well, and there's more. We find out while the drama was taking place on the planet with the Reva's back attack, we're having the said spaceship that got away. We're going to head back here now. But we got a problem with the hyperdrive. Unless Vader was able to force transfer his essence there from the Emperor's palace, my recollection of this show was he rode a Star Destroyer there, and there was a Star Destroyer in orbit around that planet. But does the Star Destroyer engage said ship with a bad hyperdrive? No. If they don't have that happen in the next episode, that's the epitome of lazy writing.
I would say they will have that. It'll be a callback to A New Hope when the Star Destroyer's chasing down Leia's ship.
Or even Empire Strikes Back when the asteroid killed off Hoth.
Yeah. So I think they'll probably have that. That'll be the intro to the next episode. I agree with you on the mysterious ship that was hiding in the background. If you go back and watch that scene, I've watched it multiple times. He grabs this ship that he thinks they're on, which was nothing more than, I know it's happened in games, but
it's a standard transport.
Come on, it's a game.
Yeah.
The only reason they had Vader do this in live action was to legitimize the fact that Rey did it in The Rise of Skywalker.
Well, and call back to the game again, that Star Killer did on Force Unleashed. He brought down Sam Witwer's character. He brought down an entire Star Destroyer.
Yeah, which I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
That's like overuse of the Force in Star Wars, in my opinion. But you got to go back and look. Yoda lifted the X-Wing out of the swamp.
Yeah, but an X-Wing and a Star Destroyer is a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the just ripping stuff down out of the sky at will.
That's my favorite ship in the entire Star Wars galaxy is a Corellian Star Destroyer. I love those ships. And you sit and tell me you can bring that thing down? No, you're not.
But anyways, back to the show, not the game. If you watch that scene real close, as he's pulling that ship down, you cannot see another ship in the background. So unless it's like you said, it hatched out of that other ship or it was attached to the other side of it, we just never seen it. Was not good visual storytelling because you can't clearly see that ship in the background.
I never would have guessed that's what it's going to happen. I would have bet anybody. I'd have lost in a second. There's no way I would have figured that would have been how that played out.
But anyways, they get away. They take off. And Reva comes up behind Vader and tries to strike him down. And they had It was a cool Vader moment. I have to admit, I still don't like it as much as the hallway scene in Rogue One. I love the hallway scene in Rogue One, but he basically takes her lightsaber from her, breaks it in half, and you think he's just going to kill her. Which I wish that's what they would have done. Been a callback to Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones. Uh, if he'd have went up just like he did Dooku and put each one of them to the side of her neck and then took her head off, but they're not going to do that. So he tosses her one. He's like, "Come on, let's go." Basically, toying with her. They have a lightsaber fight. She knocks one out of his hands, and basically the only blow she got in. She knocks his lightsaber out of his hands, and he just stops her hand and reaches over and takes her from her, and then force retrieves the other one. That was a great moment. But she don't have anything on him. He ends up stabbing her in the stomach. She's going to survive. I guess stomach wounds don't matter anymore in Star Wars, even though it's how
Force
Qui-Gon,
healing.
even though it's the way Qui-Gon died. Maybe she's a part machine in that area because the end scene did make it look like that maybe Anakin had stabbed her in the stomach before when she was a youngling. When
I
had the
never thought of
flashback.
the Qui-Gon deal. That would be horrible if she managed to live through that and Qui-Gon died. Oh, man.
Yeah, but anyways, anything we're forgetting toward
No,
the end that we're leaving
I
out?
don't think there's anything we're forgetting because, like you say, that the episode itself ended pretty. Well, that's not entirely true. She found that communicating device, whatever it was that Obi Wan had, and saw the message from Bail Organa on it. That's what we're
Yeah,
omitting.
that he was going to Tatooine to look over the boy. So
Yes,
she
yes,
obviously knows there's something going on Tatooine.
yep.
So she's going to survive. Maybe she's going to be injured in the next episode. But as she's laying there, we do get to reveal that the Grand Inquisitor is still alive.
Right.
And he walks in. I love the guy playing that character. I think he's doing an excellent job. Why they didn't just use him and get rid of this Reva character and just use the Grand Inquisitor. I think that guy's name is playing. His name is Rupert Friend.
Rupert Friend, that's it. Yep.
He's doing a great job as him, man. Why didn't you have more of him?
I think we know the answer to that, but it
Yeah,
is what it is, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. Well, anything else you want to add, man? That about does it.
No,
We
I
covered
think we've
for these
covered.
last two episodes.
I think that this was the best episode of the series, and we covered about everything. And again, I gotta believe they're going to rectify. They're going to pay off that situation with that ship with no hyperdrive and Vader's Star Destroyer and orbiting the same planet. But again, I call it back to the. I really enjoy this kid that plays Leia. I think she's very good, and I showed you the first book that Claudia Gray did on about that. There was another book she wrote called Bloodline. Now, of course, this takes place after this takes place after Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and it shows Leia as a senator, and it was revealed basically that she is the daughter of Darth Vader. But the whole reason I showed those books they are doing one thing right on this, I believe. They are bringing and evolving the character of Leia very well, and I think it's very good that they're doing that. And she's, again, Leia's a legacy character. I don't want them. I'd rather them do what they're doing with her now than to crap on the legacy characters, which they did in the sequel trilogy. So I'm okay with
Yeah,
her being a little badass.
yeah, I agree with that, man. I don't have any problem with Leia. Uh, I don't like that they've made her basically the leader in every situation they come across, like she's bossing Obi-Wan around and stuff. I don't think she's old enough for that yet. So I have a little bit of problem with that. I don't have a problem with her developing the character of Leia. Like you said, my real problems with what they did with Leia comes in the sequel trilogy, which didn't
Yes,
need to be done because she was already a great character and revered by fans without all that stuff. But
exactly.
anyways, with all that said, Wednesday night, if you're down, I would like to. Yeah, it'll drop Wednesday about 3 a.m. Wednesday evening, if you don't mind, I'd like for us both to watch it and do our after show
That'll be
early.
fine. That's good. I'm
All right.
down with that.
So we'll be back Wednesday night, everybody, for our final Kenobi finale, Obi Wan Kenobi finale on Wednesday night. We'll wrap this series up, and
Be
uh,
there or be square.
I guess the next thing after that we'll be looking forward to is Thor: Love and Thunder, and we got some other things that's going to be coming to the channel here shortly, which I'm going to be working on in the next few days, and we'll get that information out to you. With all that said, if you like the channel, subscribe. If you like any of the videos, hit the like button. Uh, Leave a comment in the comment section below. Hit the notification bell. You know when we have new content. You can meet us at Facebook, the Facebook group Armchair Fandom, and at Twitter at Armchair_Fandom. Anything to add, Ashley?
I think you pretty much covered it all. You can find me on Facebook at Ashley Houchins or at Twitter at Ashley Houchins. Send us questions, send us comments, send us whatever you'd like to tell us about the show, how we can improve it, any suggestions, and interact with us. We enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, man. Have a good evening.
All right, later.